Hey everybody, Tom Barnes, stories from the 78 from the doorstep of the Drake Hotel right on East Lakeshore Drive, soon to be named Benjamin Marshall Way, Honorary Benjamin Marshall Way. Why that name? That's the architect of this building, also the architect of Lakeshore Drive itself, the Iroquois Theater, the South Shore Cultural Center, many other places here in the city. I'm going to talk to Jane about his legacy, the honor that he has with the naming of the street after him, and everything else from this story from the 78 in the Gold Coast. All right, so you're looking inside the beautiful Gold Coast room inside the Drake Hotel, one of many of Benjamin Marshall's creations. I'm here with Jane. How are you, Jane?
Well, I'm great. Thank you, Tom. It's wonderful to be here, and I love being in this space.
Right, and Jane, you are preserving the name Benjamin Marshall with your organization. Give me the whole spiel. Give me your fancy title.
Well, I'm president of the Benjamin Marshall Society. My husband and I founded it in 2002. As realtors, we had the incredible good luck of landing a listing on the cusp of Lake Forest and Lake Bluff, and it was listed for $25 million. So it was in 2001, and in 2002 we founded the society. We were just blown away that no one seemed to know who Benjamin Marshall was, and when we found out, we said, oh my God, we've got to found a society because he did so much for Chicago. I mean, he literally civilized Chicago in so many ways.
Including what's directly behind you outside, the cars whizzing by, just north of the S curve on Lakeshore Drive was Mr. Marshall's creation.
Yeah, it really was. It was a landfill originally, as was most of the Gold Coast and Streeterville. And, but there was nothing there at the time when he started it in 1911. At the opposite end of the Drake, 999 North Lakeshore Drive it's called. And then he continued to build most of the drive. He built 999, 199, 209, 179, and the Drake.
And so we're going to walk a little bit because we can do this, but we're going to walk right out to the street where his namesake will be the Honorary Benjamin Marshall Way right here on East Lakeshore Drive. So I just want to give people a real-time look at what East Lakeshore Drive is. It's that street that kind of butts up against the S curve of Lakeshore Drive.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's iconic for Chicago. I mean, there used to be almost every postcard, had this beautiful, welcoming entrance, really, to Chicago from the north side.
Yeah, and you can even see the Palmolive back there, where you used to have the light that would shine out over the lake. That still does sometimes, but he is the grandfather of this particular neighborhood, correct?
Oh, absolutely. And I don't know when the Palmolive building was built, but it wasn't there when Ben Marshall built this.
Right, and we're inside the Drake was one of his spots. Give me a little history of the Drake, if you will, or his creation that has become the Drake Hotel.
Well, the Drake Hotel opened on New Year's Eve 1920, and believe me, it was a huge success. It became the actual place for people to go. It was just, and it went on from there. Marshall actually designed and built the Blackstone Hotel in 1910 is when it opened up. And in fact, he got the Chicago Architectural AIA Award for that hotel. And at that time, it was the Blackstone Hotel where everybody went to until the Drake opened. There were a couple more great hotels, but for some reason, it just seemed like those are the places where people went and gathered. And we're talking about society, we're talking about politicians, we're talking about movie stars. And then when the Drake opened in 1920, it was a huge, massive success. Also, by that time, in 1916, he'd built the Edgewater Beach Hotel. And from there, from the Blackstone to the Edgewater to the Drake, Marshall was he was the brand of architecture in Chicago.
Yeah, and he also did the Iroquois Theater, the South Shore Cultural Center. I mean, those are, iconic buildings that he created that have been woven into the fabric that is Chicago.
Yes, absolutely. That's the most amazing story for me, and that is that in 1903, Marshall designed the Iroquois Theater. In fact, he designed 6 theaters in Chicago. The only one left standing is the Merle Reskin, which is right next to the Blackstone. It was the old Blackstone Theater. Now it's the Merle Reskin Theater. But no, in 1903, there was this horrible conflagration, really. And it took place at the Iroquois during a matinee. The Iroquois Theater was not opened the way it should have been. It opened up too early. And of course, Marshall, being the architect, did not directly have anything to do with that. He was at fault for some of the things that happened, but I don't think they necessarily would have happened had the theater opened up on time. In the meantime, because of that fire, theaters closed down across the country and in Europe as well for a good 6 months. And then theater regulations changed to the point where all doors have to open up outside and with a panic bar. So at least something good came out of it.
Right, and I feel like Chicago, one way or another, has learned its lesson with fire over the years, right? The Great Chicago Fire, among other things, where now we set the precedent of fire protection in the world by the standards that are put in place. So either way, but we're talking about his legacy that that he has left us here in Chicago, including some of the. We were talking earlier about some of the legendary parties this gentleman would have. His very Gatsby-ish events probably taking place in rooms like this.
Oh, absolutely. Ben loved a good party. And in fact, he was a dandy, and he designed all of his own clothes because
he did, really?
He did. He started out as a men's clothes designer. Huh. It's an amazing story because he never graduated from high school. And so he was a self-trained architect on top of that. But he loved a good party, and he built his mansion on the lake in Wilmette across from the Baha'i Temple, which didn't exist at the time. And he threw just extraordinary parties, invited Hollywood celebrities whom he knew pretty well because they came already to the Edgewater Beach Hotel. So he had all these celebrities. And again, society, politicians, and this from across the United States. It wasn't just from Chicago.
My goodness, he sounds like a fascinating man. Is he from Illinois, Chicago area originally?
He is. He was born on the south side of Chicago.
All of us good ones are.
He was born on the southwest side of Chicago, I should say.
Me too.
And he went to the Harvard Prep School, which was in Kenmore, and that's where he met all these amazing people who helped him throughout his career invest in his properties.
And now we have a street naming after him. I mean, I imagine that was a journey to have that come to fruition.
Oh, that was a huge journey, and I could not be more excited that finally the city is recognizing this son, this Chicago son, who did so much because he wasn't just an architect, he was an urban designer. He was a genius when it came to financing. In fact, he's credited with bringing the co-ops to Chicago, which is pretty extraordinary. The other thing which is just amazing is that he actually was able somehow to get very, very affluent people from the South Side who lived in gorgeous mansions to come and live at 999 in the middle of a landfill in an apartment. I mean, what wealthy people lived in apartments, right? Nobody.
No, yeah.
So it was like a huge, big change. And then, little by little, not even little by little, within just 2-3 years, they just kept coming. And Marshall built what was called mansions in the sky. They were mansions in the sky, and to this day they are.
I've never heard that before, mansions in the sky, which is the dawn of what people now know as the Gold Coast of Chicago.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And he continued to build on the Gold Coast. He built 1550 North State Parkway. He built 1200 North Lakeshore Drive. He built 1530 North Lakeshore Drive, which is the Polish consulate today. And he built he built many others. 49 East Cedar, I can't just rattle all of them off
No,
right
it's
now.
fine. No, he's built a lot.
He built many.
We owed a debt of gratitude to Mr. Marshall just for giving us this beautiful skyline that we have, Lakeshore Drive. I'm sure that he is in love with the fact that there is a bike path that goes down the entirety of Lakeshore Drive so people can see it in maybe a different way than he even imagined. But either way, the street naming happening here on Wednesday, October 23rd.
Yes, followed by a celebratory reception at the Drake Hotel in this room, this very Gold Coast room. And this room, I would just like to say, now that we're standing in it, personally, I do not feel overwhelmed, as one might in a ballroom. This was Marshall's great gift. He was able to take a huge space and make it feel intimate and very human. And he was a master at scale. He did the same thing when it came to smaller spaces. He would make them look very, very big and voluminous. He really cared about people, as well he should have, I imagine, after what he went through. Yeah. But he did care about people, and he cared about the way people felt when they came, when they lived somewhere, when they went somewhere. It was like he wanted to embrace them. And I feel that
that's what you feel in this room, for sure.
I know, isn't it amazing? I always think, okay, I can put my bed here, my side table, a little lamp, and I would wake up in the morning and say, oh, where's breakfast?
For people who want more information about the Society, where can they find that and learn a little bit more about Mr. Marshall?
Oh my goodness. Well, we of course, there's our website, benjaminmarshallsociety.org or .com, both work. And we have a book out, but unfortunately it's now out of print, and so we're fundraising to reprint it. And so, but here and there you can find it on Amazon, and it's a wonderful book. It really is extraordinary. And we have our film, a great film.
What's the film?
The film is called Benjamin Marshall, Architect, and we have wonderful people in it, like Bill Curtis, like Chaz Ebert. We have the grandchildren of Marshall. One of them, sadly, is no longer with us, so we were lucky to have both the grandchildren. And we have some of the great-grandchildren. So it's a beautiful film, and we show it on special occasions. Yeah. And if you sign up for our emails, we can even send you the link.
Fantastic. And some of those great-grandchildren will be here for the unveiling of the street, which is kind of all full circle moment. Thank you so much for what you do in bringing this architect's name back into the limelight, because Chicago owes a debt of gratitude to that gentleman. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Tom. What a treat to be here. Thank you.
All right, that is the story from the 78 here in the Gold Coast, right on East Lakeshore Drive. That's what you're looking at right there. TomBarnishChicago@gmail.com. If you have a story from the 78 suggestion, or head over to the website, storiesfromthe78.com. Enjoy Mr. Marshall's work. It is beautiful.